Okay, a couple of years down the road, you get really into water.
What?
So
Like outdoor water? Are you saying I get or like the beverage?
drinking water.
Oh man, I'm already there. That's like my primary drink,
Yeah.
water. I love there's nothing better. I would out of you the entire spectrum of drink, I would take ice cold water over anything,
Yeah.
I think.
You've actually stopped calling, like sometimes you find yourself not even calling it water. You just call it the primary. You'll
Yeah,
be
I
like,
could see you doing that.
I'm going to grab myself some primary. You want any? And people are like, what? And you go, yeah, some water. You want any? And you think to yourself, that was close.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think it was beyond close.
yeah.
I think I revealed something to them that I probably didn't want revealed. That's
So
probably something if I'm doing it, I'm keeping it to myself.
you, you actually get like you keep your water in its own separate like refrigerator. It's a specially made fridge that's made for water, basically. It's called the Water Refrigerator 3000. No one can do it like us.
What a
And honestly,
dumb
dude,
fucking.
but no one can.
It's a refrigerator, Pat. There are plenty of. I have a refrigerator in my room
Yeah,
that
but
I could get cold water out of right now.
you could, but it's not going to have that extra layer of enjoyment to it that you get out of the Water Refrigerator 3000.
Why do I
because
get an extra level of enjoyment out of the water refrigerator 3000?
because they're not lying, dude. Nobody can do it like them. There is
What does that mean?
what I'm saying is that you they in their like ads and stuff, um their ads, it's like
What the fuck?
the thing that convince you is there's an ad with Harvey Keitel in it,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's like, hey everybody, the water fridge 3000 is the best on the market. You're gonna be okay if you drink this.
Jesus Christ.
And you're like, holy shit.
Jesus.
And so and that convinces you. And even though you're like,
It's like he's here.
remember, this is Harvey Keitel saying, if it's not the water fridge 3000, you may as well be feeding your family lead. And so so you're like, well, okay, if
So
it's,
their advertisement insinuates that using another company would kill your family. That's
yeah,
what is.
they had a cartoon, not a cartoon. They had an ad that actually pretty much flat out said that they had to like pull.
Yeah.
It was Bob Dylan. He was like
Oh
he was
Lord.
like,
Why? Well, these are curious choices of ad spokesman for a water refrigerator.
well, they figure the CEO is like, look, I don't care if you're a Bob Dylan guy, a Harvey Keitel guy, anything in between. You're gonna need water, and we provide the finest water fridge on the
Okay.
planet, probably in history. I mean, with the level of technology that we have in this baby.
Who am I to argue?
Yeah,
I'm sure they did market research and they came up with Harvey Keitel and Bob Dylan as the two best spokesmen based on market research.
but they had to take Bob Dylan's down. They actually it ran only one time during the Super Bowl where
Yeah.
he was like, "Hey everybody, it's me, a Bob Dylan. How does it feel knowing that the water that you've been giving your family has been poisoned?"
outright stating that someone is poisoning your family.
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume the second half of the ad is the only solution is the water fridge 3000.
So what happens is Jacob Dylan pops up behind him and he's like, "Hey dad, you can't say that." And he's like, "I just did. So get yourself a refrigerator at 3000, baby. You can tell them Bob Dylan sent you and that you've been poisoning your family. Your children are gonna die." So it's kind of a controversial commercial, and it's only shown the
That
one
runs
time,
during the
but
Super Bowl.
it runs during the Super Bowl, and it actually like causes a they get a very good return on investment because their sales skyrocket after that commercial. Later
Yeah, I mean,
on,
that's great. Harvey Keitel, all those big Harvey Keitel fans out there hearing from their man that they could be having their family poisoned, all the Bob Dylan heads, maybe the most susceptible of our society.
yeah, Bob Dylan he's on his never-ending tour, and that includes the Water Refrigerator 3000. And so after you order one yourself, you kind of feel kind of dumb. You're like, how could this really, like, you just realize you were kind of just swept up in the moment. And so you like in the afterglow of Bob Dylan, you ordered this. And so you feel kind of like a sucker, but then you kind of forget you did it. And then like 3 days later it shows up and you're like, oh, right. And you plug it in and you think to yourself, like, I mean, is this really going to make that big of a difference? But remember, you've never used this before. You like
Okay.
you look back on this now and you think to yourself, wow, what a dumb, stupid, fat, ugly kid I was back then. If I had known what I know now. So you put in a couple of cold daddies in there to and you think to yourself, like, all right, like, whatever, I'll come back soon. You close the door. And a minute later, you're like, oh, I should probably put another one in there. And when you open the door, they're already ice fucking cold.
I don't need that. Like I got
So
ice
you
in the freezer. I can make
right.
the thing cold. I feel like it's so I mean, it's great.
So what happens
It
is, well,
seems like it's overkill. That's
yeah,
all.
normally that would be your thinking, but when you put like the warm or not the room temperature cold daddy, the water into the fridge, like the back of your knuckles like just barely went up against the cold
The
bottle of
wall.
water. Yeah, the cold
Oh
bottle of
man.
water, and you felt a level of chill that you have never felt in your life. It's almost like ice goes down your spine. And when it reaches your like butt, it melts. So you're like, what the hell? And so you grab it and you kind of have almost like a serene moment because the bottle of water of the cold daddy, it fits perfectly in your hand the way that nothing else in life ever has. And I don't just mean physically, I mean emotionally. You wrap those fucking fingers of yours around this bottle of water, and it's almost like for a second you can feel the water through the bottle on your fingertips, and you kind of go,
What the
"Oh,"
fuck?
you're like, "Oh, huh?"
What was that? It made it look like I had like a sexual reaction to this.
Almost. And so
What does it mean?
you opened up the bottle and like you looked at like the open lid, yearning to be drank from.
Ugh,
and you raise it to your full pouty lips
come on.
and you take yourself a sip. And your first thought as it slides down your tight little throat is
Oh God.
men have killed for water like this. So it actually does a really, really good job. So you're pretty into water, and you have your water fridge 3000 that you keep your expertly chilled bottles of water. And you have a lot, a lot of different types. You got, Aquafina for, people who aren't quite as adventurous with their water drinking as you. You've definitely got some Lanalax water in there, not to mention those cold daddies. You've got a pretty full, and you keep it fully stocked at all times. So as a result, you've kind of like gone into debt.
Because I have so much water on hand.
You've just poured a lot of your money into this. You're very into this,
I'm into
and
this.
to the point where you actually like start like missing days at work.
What do you mean by that? How what in the world of water is gonna cause me to miss days at work? Especially when I'm already so stocked up. I mean, you said I'm fully stocked.
Because you spend almost every waking moment like on your computer doing research trying to find the rare water, the rarest water that there is, you
This
know.
fucking sucks.
um
This fucking sucks.
you're after so there's this one type of water that all of the water heads out there, they're really really, this is the one that the people go, oh, this is like the Stradivarius of the water world. And it was made by this guy Cornelius J. Rupture.
Oh,
It was water
also, I don't
that,
think you can use the term water head anymore.
oh right. All right. So for a long time, a lot of people like called themselves that, and then they
Sure.
realized like, huh, maybe it's not the best. So now everybody calls themselves the children of water.
Oh God.
So
Why?
because they're like they realize that calling themselves the other thing was so
Yeah,
sort of insensitive, and so they're like, well, we have to come up with something new. And they were kind of, what, a lot of people, there was some resistance to people changing the name, because some people were like, well, it's tradition, and then some people were like, yeah, but also like this is PC bullshit. So it actually it turned into kind of like a whole thing. But
sure.
eventually the way that they decided on changing it, because some people were happy that it was changed, some people were kind of not super into it, is that they had like a vote on what to call it, and the Children of Water was chosen by the members of this water message board.
Yeah. What's the message board called?
It's for water enthusiasts. It's
Yeah.
called Water, Life,
Oh
and
Jesus.
Truth. Water, Life, and Truth is the name of the message board that you are
Should have just
very
been like
active
the
on.
water cooler.
So you spent a lot of
But
time on this,
water, life, and truth.
yeah.
This
And
sucks.
but it's primarily you guys talking about like, oh, I went to this restaurant and sampled their what you guys call their table water. You guys kind of bring, usually you bring your own water to restaurants, but it's always,
I'm not doing that.
but
I'm not doing that. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm bringing my own.
yeah, because but here's the thing: the Children of Water, their thing is, look, if you're gonna bring, because that's also kind of a divide in the community. It's to be honest with you, the water enthusiast community, there's a lot of internal strife,
I'm not gonna bring my own fucking bottle. What a brick move. I hate that shit.
but you do. And their thing is,
No,
look,
Pat,
if you're gonna bring your own water, bring your own water, but you have to at least try the table water that they bring. And a lot, not a lot of times, but sometimes you'll find a restaurant that just has good water. So the last time you went on there, you were like, "Hey guys, if you guys are looking for some pretty good TW, as you guys call it, head on down
we
to
have
their."
shorthand for it.
Well, yeah. Otherwise, it takes too long to type, and so it's like, oh, so if your username is uh Water Bros 420,
No, that sucks.
but the R's are backward like corn. And
How am I
so,
gonna type that on a keyboard, Pat?
well, it's just, like you're only a few keystrokes away, is what you say to yourself as you register. And so you write like, oh, so if you guys are ever looking for some pretty good TW, recently went to Chili's on 34th, the Chili's on 34th Street. Go ahead and check it out. Ask for Donna, also great service, and she's got an interesting story. So you are very into water. And so you're on there a lot. You guys are discussing water. You're talking about your water collections that you guys have. Some people collect. Some people they they purchase water. Some to collect, some to consume. So there's the collectors and the consumers, and then there's some people who are a little bit of both. And so you're on there talking about different vintages of water and different brands and and stuff like that, and you sort of lose your job.
That
So
fucking sucks. That is truly terrible. That this is a
yeah,
website about water, an online community about niche water is gonna cost me my fucking job. I would be so pissed off. Everybody around me would be pissed off
right.
at how like irrational that is and how oh that's so fucking irritating.
Yeah, later on people realize like, oh, he was probably having like kind of a reaction to what happened.
What do you mean what happened?
You killed a kid.
Are you fucking kidding me, Pat? We're 18 minutes into this. And you're telling me that I kill a child and that
Yeah,
sends me spiraling and getting into an online water community that takes up so much of my time that I lose my fucking job.
yeah. Well,
Are
yeah, I mean,
you fucking kidding me? Pat,
what happened was you were doing a gig. You were opening up for a a Charles Manson impersonator,
yeah, are you fucking serious, Pat?
but they were playing his music like he was a musician in real life. So it's called Charlie Manson and his All Star Band, and it's him and a bunch of different like you know murderers over the years, but people dressed up
What do
as
you
them
mean?
in his band. So the bass player is like it's like Lizzie Borden. There's a keyboard player. It's Benedict Arnold for some reason,
So
and
there's no
then
historical accuracy to this at all.
no, not really. It's very tongue in cheek. This is a few years down the road where Charles Manson impersonators are they're kind of becoming a thing, like how they were Elvis impersonators back in the day. Now
Pat, one of them
there's
was the biggest superstar in the history of music, and the other one was a fucking it was a madman. Was it who
I'm not
orchestrated several killings?
I'm
Like, and
not
is in prison and has a smiley face tattooed in the middle of his goddamn forehead. They're not the same thing. You can't just say, "Oh, you know how Elvis did it?" It's like, yeah, because the fucking world loved Elvis. This guy is gonna die in prison.
so in recent years, this is a few years down the road, there has been a critical reappraisal of Charles Manson's music, not his actions, obviously, his music. And so there are people who, feel the way you do, it seems, about Charlie Manson. And then there's some people who are like, you got to separate the art from the artist. And while we acknowledge the horrific stuff that happened, you got to admit, this guy could really kick out the jams.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people having that opinion, but what I am saying is that you can't just pass it off as, like Elvis, right?
Well, I
He
just
made
mean like, and then there's a lot of people now because of stuff that's come out. Like there's a small but very vocal subsection of the Charles Manson impersonator circuit who they're like he didn't do anything. Like it was a setup. He didn't do it. That's crazy. And like they just they believe in conspiracy theory that Charles Manson wasn't actually responsible for the murders. But
So you're
like
saying that there are so many Charles Manson music impersonators nationwide that you would consider it a circuit? Like there are resources nationwide.
yeah,
Like this is a net. Are you fucking kidding me?
like I said, it's a few years down the road, and people are you know they're looking back at his music and going, you know what? Some of this slaps. So
It's
you were opening
whatever.
up for Charlie Manson and his All Star Band, and you had a set, and you were, you know, doing pretty well. It started off a little rocky because you tried like doing some Manson jokes, like riffing up top, and like it didn't really. The crowd was not appreciative. But you're able to dig yourself out of that hole, and you ended up having like a really good set. And then you were like you kind of like look down and you're like, holy shit, guys, you're not gonna believe this. You bend over because you notice on the stage you're performing at was a goddamn banana peel. And you pick it up and you go, in my decade plus of doing stand-up comedy, like I've never come across a cliche like this, you know what I mean? And the whole crowd's going crazy. They're like, oh, there's a banana peel, and you go, whatever, guys, you guys have been great. How about a huge round of applause for Charlie Manson? And you throw the banana peel into the crowd, and this kid was walking by, and when it landed he like slipped on it. He was also allergic to bananas. So he kind of like slipped on it and then just started like just vomiting as he like slipped and fell and like fell down a hill. He fell down a hill and then like no one actually found the body. So he's presumed dead, but I mean,
Are you fucking kidding me?
so you kind
He
of
slipped on a banana peel in a venue and fell out of the venue down a hill,
yeah, throwing
and
up all the while.
they never found him.
No.
And then how am I going to be held responsible for this? This is fucking bullshit.
Well, I'm saying, you kind of get a little you're not held like liable or whatever. It's just that you were sued and stuff, and it was kind of like a harrowing couple of years, but you were found not guilty. It's not really your fault. So, nothing really happens to you legally, but you have dreams.
Yeah, I witnessed the death of another human being, and I feel very responsible for that.
Some say caused it. And so this whole water thing, a lot of people seem to think it's probably in, response to, you know,
Yeah.
response to what happened. So you start wheeling dealing for water. One day you wake up and you see in your email, there's like from eBay, and they're like, hey, Aaron, that item that you were looking for, it's available. You're like, holy
What item
shit.
is that?
You click on it, and it is the one we were talking about earlier, the Stradivarius of water. This water The reason that it's like so rare is that it came from this one specific place, this one well in town. There was a guy in this village called Aveyron in France.
Yeah.
He had this like, you know, tract of land that he bought that a bunch of people had bought over the years, and they tried to like cultivate it for different things. People have tried to grow grapes for wine there. People have tried to raise cows there. Someone turned it into an industrial goth techno club, and like nothing really worked.
Yeah.
And so this guy ended up buying the land, and he had this well that he dug, and he dug it down. Just it just so happened to be the perfect length for water to really come into its own. And years later, he was asked about this, and they were like, "How did you know to only do it at that certain amount?" It was 666 feet, and he was like, "Well, I just kind of kept on I kept on digging and digging and digging, and yeah, I think it time just sort of stopped for a while, and until I heard a voice tell me,
Great.
your work is done." And I haven't stopped hearing that voice ever since. And so the well was only in operation for about 3 years, because on the like 100th pull of the thing, you know what I mean, the chain to get the water up,
Yeah, yeah.
it was struck by lightning and destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they tried to like build a new well there, but they weren't, they just weren't able to. It never really worked out. Some say it's probably because they didn't hear the voice telling them to stop.
How infuriating.
So this water has recently like resurfaced. It's called the Waters of Aveyron. And there was only 100, pulls of it. And so it's available. The problem is that it's like $20,000. So you're like,
Guess I'll never try it. Part of growing up and being adult is coming to grips with the idea that like you're not going to get everything you ever want. And like a $20,000 bottle of water is something that is financially irresponsible to the point that if I went through with it, it would wreck me for years.
yeah,
Years.
yeah. So even though, so like you look at it, and for just a moment, your clicking finger like hovers above that mouse, but you realize like you grab your wrist with your other hand and like you manage to pull it away.
I managed to pull it away.
So you kind of like forget about that, and you decide like, you know what? I'm gonna go outside today. I'm gonna go get something to eat.
Sounds like I need to leave the house.
You do, yeah. So you go down to this tavern down the street. It's called Stereotype Tavern. You walk in, and it's every shitty Irish bar that you've ever been to in your fucking life.
Great.
And like the people who work there, they have to dress up like, put on like Irish flair and stuff like that. It's just it's every like shitty one of those places.
There's a
But
clock on the wall at the countdown at St. Patrick's Day.
yep, there's stuff like that. They have like they do the thing where they pour Guinness and then they put like a uh what do you call it? Like they do a shape of like a shamrock on it. You know what I mean? Just really
Oh,
like
okay.
lame over they just play nothing but
Ugh.
like flog and Molly. But they serve the best shepherd's pie that you've ever had in your fucking life, and you are craving it that day. By your side, you by your side is your ice cold bottle of Niagara Plus. You've tried
Sponsored ad.
you've brought you've tried their table water and you are not a fan. So you sit down, you order your shepherd's pie, you grab your bottle of water. They bring out the shepherd's pie. It smells incredible. You look down at it and like you see like the heat sort of like rise up.
Sure.
You look into the heat and like for a second you see your own face looking back at you, except it looks horrified. And
I'm about to eat it.
then from behind you, you hear, "Go ahead and put that on me, tab, boyo."
Oh no.
And you go, "What
Oh
the hell?"
no.
And you turn around, and standing behind you is this guy. He is he look if you thought that the people at working at the restaurant looked like an Irish stereotype, this guy has them beat to shit. All green. Like he kind of looks like the Lucky Charms guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Except
yeah.
he's like, he's an adult, he's real, flesh and bone. And he goes, "Hello there, laddie. Me name is Izzy Irish, so it is." He goes, "Pleased to meet ya." He sits down next to you. You kind of like blink, and in front of him is like another thing of shepherd's pie. He goes, "Dig in, laddie." You guys both start eating, and you get to talking to Izzy Irish,
I don't want to
and
talk to this guy. I want to eat my fucking shepherd's pie in peace. I don't want to have a conversation with this person.
why not?
Why the fuck would I, Pat? He's exhausting. I just want to eat my fucking shepherd's pie and leave.
So you do because he talks a lot. So it's mostly him talking while you're just kind
Yeah,
of.
I don't want that either.
But
I
he's
don't want
a.
to have.
But it's almost like you're hypnotized by him because you are kind of annoyed. But like when he talks,
I'm very annoyed.
when you hear him like speak in that like terrible Irish accent, there's something about it that like hypnotizes you a little bit. So like you kind of like sit and you listen to him talk and stuff like that. And eventually, you finish your shepherd's pie. He is like 9 whiskeys deep. He's like he looks at you and like you've been telling him about your life a little bit too after you finish
I
eating
don't
and
want to
how
speak to. I don't
you're
want to speak to him. I'm not going to finish eating and then hang around and tell this guy about my fucking life. I'm going to
but
pay my tab and I'm going to get the fuck out of there.
you don't have a tab. That's what I'm saying. Is that he's paying for it, so you feel a little obliged to
I
be
would.
like,
I would 100% pay for my own meal if it meant being able to fucking leave this guy. I don't want to sit here and have a conversation with a total stranger like
you
this.
yeah, you try to pay your bill. The bartender's like, "Oh, sorry," and like kind of like walks away. He's like, "It's on him." There's a twinkle in his eye. Izzy
I would
Irish's
tell him at
eye.
some point. I really hate to do this, but I have other obligations. I'm more than happy. Can I Venmo you for whatever the cost of my tab was?
He goes, "Don't worry about it, me lad. I tell me ma when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone." Everyone starts like clapping with him.
I turn and I get out of it. I turn and leave. And I go, thank you for the meal. And I said, I'll be back. Hopefully I can run into you again and I'll take care of you next time. Next one's on me. And I get the fuck out of there. I get the fuck out of there. I don't want to sit there and listen to this guy sing and watch him dance and watch everybody be his cool pal. I want to get the fuck out of there.
So
Do I have any cash on me at all? Can I put something down for a tip?
yeah, you
Because I
like
want to tip and
yeah,
leave.
you tip and you leave. You go the fuck home.
Yeah.
You get home, there's a note on your door. It says, Aaron, what do you do?
I look at it. I look at it. I open the
So
note.
you open this bright green note.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And on the other side, and even though you're reading it, it's like you can hear that fucking terrible Irish accent in your head. Be like, hello there, laddie-o. Thank ye for breaking ye fast with me this eve. Ar Aaron,
He's Irish. Is he also a pirate?
he must be like really drunk. I mean, you're a little weirded out. Basically, it says, Aaron, I've got a gift for ye. If you come meet me at the Stereotype Tavern tomorrow, you'll be getting your mitts on that rare water of yours. Dot, dot, dot. Love, Izzy Irish. You go to sleep. You dream of a howling void. You wake up the next day.
Right.
Do you go to meet Izzy Irish?
Fuck no. Fuck no, I don't. Of course I don't. This guy, number one, beat me home. Number two, knew where I lived. I didn't tell him. I don't want to see this person any anymore ever again.
Yeah. So you wake up the next day and you're like, no fucking way am I getting involved with this shit.
Yeah.
You walk to your front door and open it, and there's like a box on your front porch. And you're like, what the fuck? And it's like it seems like oddly refrigerated, you know? Feels like cold to the touch. What do you do? It says to Aaron. And
I open it.
the return address is just a fucking shamrock. So you open it up and there is a like several ice cold bottles of that rare fucking water that you wanted.
Take it back to that fucking tavern. I take it in there and I say, hey, I was in here a couple days ago. I got some shepherd's pie. It was great. And a man who looked very much like he was mocking the Irish showed up here. Bright green clothes, terrible Irish accent. Everybody here was like clapping along with his singing. Everybody looked like everybody knew him. Do you know who I'm talking about?
He looks at you and he goes, it's the same bartender from yesterday. And he goes,
Yeah.
uh what?
Don't pull that shit with me. I was in here. The person who paid my tab yesterday,
And he goes, oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't, I can't remember everybody. I remember you tipped me pretty well though. Thanks for that.
the person who paid that tab, started singing, and then everybody was clapping along and dancing as if this was commonplace here. His shepherd's pie appeared before him within the blink of an eye. Like this person is clearly known in this establishment. You know who I'm talking about?
He shrugs. He's like, brother, I got no idea what you're going on about, but is there anything I can help you with? I gotta, gotta get back to work. He's like slammed. It's a lunch rush.
Say, give me an order of shepherd's pie.
So you sit down. He brings over a piping hot plate, a shepherd's pie, puts it down in front of you. You take out your fork, and it is like clearly just been polished,
Yeah,
because you look at it and you can see your reflection in it perfectly.
yeah.
And you're like, even though you know what color your eyes are, it's like you've never really appreciated your eyes until that moment, looking into that freshly polished fork. You dig into that shepherd's pie, you take a bite, and somehow it tastes even better than it did yesterday. And you look up to be like, hey, thanks to the bartender. And then you start spitting up blood
What the fuck? Why am I spitting up blood?
because you're like, ugh, ugh. And then like the bartender like looks at you and he like narrows his eyes and you're like, what the hell's going on? And then like you just keep spitting up more blood. And then he walks over to you and he goes, that was a terrible tip, you son of a bitch. He
Are you
poisoned your
fucking what the fuck?
he
You
poisoned your food
are you fucking kidding me?
because
I
he
didn't even pay the bill.
I
And
know,
I
but you
still
tipped
threw
him.
money in on top of it.
Yeah, you tipped him $3.
I wouldn't tip somebody $3 fucking, Pat. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's just all the cash that you had. And he was like, pretty annoyed and like, is he Irish? Didn't really tip him too much either. So he was pretty annoyed.
This fucking
He
sucks. This whole
ended up,
thing sucks.
it put him in such a bad mood that he went back home and had like a big fight with his girlfriend. And like, they're not breaking up
Fuck
or
him.
anything, but
Fuck
it is
her.
tense at home.
I
And
don't
so
care.
he poisoned your shepherd's pie. You end up spitting up like all of your internal organs onto that
Great.
bar top.
Great. So fucking stupid. It wasn't my responsibility to tip. I wasn't paying the bill. And yet I still did. I'm sorry it wasn't more. I would have told him, like, hey, this is all the cash I have.
Yeah.
Izzy's gonna Izzy has the rest of the tip.
You were just kind of in a hurry to get away from this guy,
I
so you
tried to
left.
pay him and he was like, no, I can't.
Yeah, we didn't
Fuck
say you
him.
can't tip him. So he was, so you end up dying in that stereotype tavern, and
Cool.
it is the poison is never traced back to him. They just think that you just died because
Great.
the shepherd's pie is that good, and that actually turns into like their one of their selling points at Stereotype Tavern is they're like, "Hey man, our shepherd's pie is so good, it killed a guy." And business has never been better.